Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Fishing from the Barn. As you can well see, we're in the barn, my fish tank, the usual setup. We're keeping it the same. We're going to keep rolling with the barn theme for right now. Of course, welcome newcomers, if there is any out there, to the YouTube page, T. Kosar Fishing, your host, Tony Kosar. Amateur fisherman, we'll put it that way. It's been that way lately, and we're going to get into that. We're also going to get into doing some baits because we got time. It's been a rough season and we're just going to dive right into it. But before we do get there, please, as always, please like, subscribe, share the page, share the channel around. We're building it. We're building it little by little. Hopefully it's content that people will like, that people want to see. I don't know. We're just doing what we do, and this is it. So anyhow, we're going to get into it. Basically, we're going to recap the weekend a little bit, and then we're going to roll right into the bait section of what I'm looking to attempt. We'll put it that way. What I'm going to attempt to do this weekend and see if it works any better. And we got notifications and stuff going off on the phone. I don't know. It never stops lately. Not a bad thing, not a good thing. So, especially when you're trying to do something here. But anyhow, we're going to get right into it. So, as always, I've been floating around. I'm keeping it very simple this year, starting off doing this co-angling thing. And this co-angling thing is becoming frustrating, to say the least. If anybody's watched past videos, it's not going well at the moment. It started off going well, and then it turned around and it took a turn for the worse. And it's something I'm doing. It's not anything out there. It's just it's what I'm doing, and I think I've narrowed down what I'm doing, and we'll get to it. But anyhow, Potomac River, Upper Chesapeake Bay, which is my neighborhood. That's where we're at here on the Eastern Shore. We got the bay and all tidal water fisheries. I'm gonna venture off, and it's coming soon. We're gonna venture up north a little bit. I want to hit some Delaware River. There's some tournaments on the Delaware River that I want to get into. That's gonna be kind of interesting. It's still tidal water, but the tidal swing is a lot more aggressive. Not as, I don't know the word I'm looking for at the moment, but we'll just keep it at that. It's more aggressive than what we're used to down here on the bay, the tributaries to the bay, which Potomac River is tributary to the bay. But it's just, you get into that normal thing, you get used to that, you learn it, kind of learn it, and then venture off to something even worse. So I'm hoping, I'm not planning on doing well on the Delaware, maybe not, I don't know yet, but having that big tidal swing, you challenge yourself and something else has to get easier, and that's kind of the thing I'm looking at doing, and hopefully it goes right. If it does, whoever's watching, whoever subscribes to the page, we'll see if it works, and hopefully my experiences and my trials can help somebody else not have to go through this stuff, because believe me, I'm going out of my gourd. It's getting taxing. But anyhow, like I said 6 times already, Potomac River, went down there, American Bass Anglers. That's the organization that we fished with. It was their open series this time. It was the first one of the season. Our first one on the Upper Chesapeake got canceled because of weather conditions. So here we are. Had our first one. Potomac River was great to me. My first co-angling experience out there, my first event. 5 bass limit. It came early. Second cast out when we got to the flats, I was hooking up on just a regular spinner bait. Nothing special, just a spinner with a trailer. And I'm like, this is awesome. And I mean, the spinner got 3 of them. French fry got 1. Drop shot got 1. Bam, I had my 5, and I was trying to cull out, but we ended up moving because the weather came in, and it just, nothing got culled out, so I ended up 8th place. Ecstatic over that. The next event, we're on the Upper Chesapeake Bay, and it was bad weather yet again. I got 1 fish, was good enough for 5th place. 1 fish, 5th place. Yeah, that's how it went for everybody. So then we went back to, I think we did the Potomac again. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. We did the Upper Chesapeake right after that again, and I got skunked, and that was with MLF. It was just a bad day. Next one was on the Potomac with MLF, skunked yet again. Nothing, not a bite. And I'm like, what is going on here? It's starting to get frustrating. So now this weekend, finally got a bite, but it wasn't like, I wouldn't say I fished the event. I did, but I didn't. The only bite I got all day, one fish, I ended up at the bottom of the field, unfortunately. It's embarrassing to say the least. But that's where I ended up. I had one fish. I want to say it was under 2.5 pounds. It wasn't like, it just made it. I mean, it just made it on the board for 15-inch. And it stunk. All I needed was 3 fish as a co-angler for that one. And my boater, he got 5. There was people around us catching them, and I'm like, what am I doing? Around 10 o'clock, I'm starting to build that frustration where it's like, all right, I'm watching guys hooking up all around me. What am I doing wrong? And I mean, I threw the wacky, I threw fast baits, slow baits, swim jig, spinner, the chatter for a little bit. Went back to the wacky a little bit, threw the drop shot, had different stuff on the drop shot, everything from a fluke to a Ned style to a full out worm, a stick bait to a paddle tail, just all sort of, well, flap tail, I should say, everything. And I noticed my boater this weekend, he was moving. He was more of a mover. He didn't just sit somewhere. And me and Finesse, we're not holding hands yet. I'm not a finesse guy. I never was. I gotta be. It's hard learning. It's slowing down. Drives you crazy. And my boater was moving a lot. Like, we stayed within an area, but we were trolling around. And I couldn't sit there. And it made it hard for me to do that finesse tactic with like a wacky where I want to let that thing drop. So I put a weighted wacky on there where I basically nose and tail weight it just so it would drop faster because I don't have a lot of time to let that thing just glide. All right, let me get it down there and see if there's something on the bottom that'll pick it, let it sit. But I couldn't really let it sit. So that constant move kind of like screwed me up on the finesse, and I have to figure that out. Anybody out there co-angling, that's a journey. You've got to figure out when you don't have control of the boat and you're moving, and your boater wants to move that day, and it's kind of a finesse day for at least the back of the boat, it's hard to do that. So you got to figure out a way around it, and I didn't figure it out. I got frustrated, and I'm just chucking stuff like something's got to bite. So I was in like hyper mode instead of woosah, calm down, do the thing, slow down, and that seems to be what I'm looking at in my past experiences, where the first one, I just went out there and I just fished. I didn't really think of it. I didn't dissect it. Didn't go crazy on baits like, oh my God, I need this, I need that. I see this guy doing this and that. And it just kind of goes through your head and just wipes it out. There's phone calls coming in. We're going to end that. Potential spam. So all this stuff going through your head just screws you up. Or at least screws me up to where I just got to kind of go back to the basics and just be like, all right, stop overthinking this stuff and just fish. So that's where we're at with that. Again, just another weekend that was just in the toilet, and here we are. We're gonna move on. Again, I'll probably say this later on in the video, but for sakes of saying it now, we're moving on to this weekend. We have American Bass Anglers, their AFT series is going out of Anchor Marina. That's Saturday, and then Sunday, the same thing. It's the PA division's going out of Anchor Marina, and the Maryland division, which I also fish, is going to go out of the Potomac River again at Smallwood. So I'm going to be fishing Saturday up here and then Sunday down there. So that's our weekend. So that's about it on the fishing side of things for this past weekend. Kind of low, kind of in the dumps on it, and I'm just trying to pick it back up. It's getting harder and harder when it's just every weekend, and I'm finally putting my finger on what I'm doing wrong. Because again, everybody else is out there and they're bringing stuff in the boat. I mean, they're hooking up and they're landing them. Me, I'm coming up empty-handed. There's some people who struggled too that weekend, but I think we're all in the same boat with this stuff on the co-angler side of things. So it's stuff you got to work on, and I guess we got to work on it, or else we're not going to be doing well. But anyhow, we can roll into baits, all right? And this is my thing. I have so much crap. I bought more crap this weekend, and I'm a bait junkie. I love having this stuff. I love having different options and things to play with. Like, if you gave me every bait out there and put it in this barn here and hung it all up on the walls, I would just start rigging everything and it'd be a nightmare. And I think that's half my problem on the back of the boat. I got too much stuff rigged up. So anyhow, let's get into the baits. So one bait that I picked up this weekend, I've wanted it for a while, and I just shied away from him. Not really I'm a swim bait guy when it comes to like a small, like a spunk shad or just like a like a rage swimmer, like a Kitech rage swimmer with a paddle tail or like a fluke style. I'm used to them. That's what I do. I'll underspin them. I'll just Texas rig them, weighted, weightless, whatever the conditions need to have, the setup as. So this little critter here, I picked up and I've seen it around, and I just got I don't know. I just didn't want to go with it for some reason, and then I finally just broke down. I'm like, let me buy a pack of them and just see how they go first, because they're not the cheapest. I'm not rich by no means, so I try to be a little. Is frugal the word I'm looking for? I spend, don't get me wrong, I spend stupidly on baits, but I try to get the most bang for the buck, but have decent stuff and not buying junk. So it's kind of it's a balancing deal, but let's get into it. So we're going to move on to it's been out for a while, but for me it'll be the first time using it, rigging it and everything else. Berkley Power Bait, the little gilly. If you could see that, I don't know if it's coming in the display. Woo, woo, woo. I don't know. So anyhow, bought a little pack of gilly. They make 3 different versions. They make a 90 millimeter, a 110, and a 130, if I'm correct. I'm pretty sure it's a 130. I did the 110. I hit it in the middle, and I'm just going to roll with the 110 for right now. Be like, all right, best of both worlds, we hope. So anyway, this is the, what is it? The HD pumpkin seed. And I just kind of like the looks of it. It kind of gave me that bream kind of look, or the bluegill or the panfish style look. Mostly bluegill is what I was after. So they have a bluegill color, but it just, I don't know, it didn't sit well with me. This one popped out. Now, actually, they didn't have the bluegill one, or the, whatever color they call it. It wasn't really bluegill as far as I know, but I'll look. But this is the best that they had there, other than your black flake and just pumpkin kind of colored fish. So, or bait, I should say. So that's the little guy there. Pretty neat, ain't it? Some of you guys probably have seen it before. I've seen it, I just never bought into it. I'm not a swim bait guy of this nature. Like a hard swim bait, I'm not a hard swim bait guy. I know they catch fish. I just don't get into that for some reason. Like I got other ones, ow, if I can pick them up, all right, of that sort. It's a swim bait, but I like that soft plastic. I'm a soft plastic junkie. There's something with it. I don't know what it is. I'll trailer everything. I go crazy with soft plastics. So it's just they work. You can do so much with them, and you can modify them without having to make your own and get into that expense of making your own. Once you have the equipment, cool. But the molds, if you get a cheap mold, people are like, oh, you get a mold for $30. Not so much. You get a CNC mold, you're going to get something that looks like this out of that mold. But that mold's going to cost you anywhere from minimum probably $100, and I've seen some upwards of $300. So I guarantee to make this little critter, it's going to be expensive mold, or a custom mold you're going to need, because Berkley has a patent on this mold. So you're going to have to make a mold or have one made, and they cost a couple $100 for a good one. So anyway, getting into this little bait, couple ways that I'm playing around right now rigging it. One I have rigged up right now, and it's side hooked. That's the way you're supposed to do these. It's really it's the only way to a degree. So you take an EWG hook. I got one laying around here. Everybody knows what an EWG hook is. Let me get on my shirt there. You can see it. EWG, extra wide gap. And a 3/0. I was playing around with a 4/0, and it was starting to get back in. And actually the 4/0 I actually think I have in this one right now. So you're borderline, depending on the manufacturer, because not everybody's is the same. Sometimes a 4/0 is a little bit different depending on the manufacturer. I don't even know what manufacturer it is. There's a hook I had laying around. It was a 4. I measured it out. It was a 4/0. We went with it. So anyhow, it sits in there. You don't want to get too far back into this part where your action is. And I'm very much borderline where that action is. If I can get it right, I'm just into that, what looks almost like scales on the bait. I'm just there. And the 3/0 was a very nice fit, but the 3/0 didn't have, I think this is actually an owner hook. It's not actually an EWG, so it's just what I had. So we'll go with this. But it didn't have enough on the side to where when that fish would bite down on it, there wasn't enough meat there on that back of that hook, on that gap, that I felt that would make a good enough hook set. So we went with the 4/0 with the owner, and the owner is just on that borderline. A Gamma and a Matsu I tried in the 4, and they were just a little bit bigger. And it was too much in that. I didn't want to lose the action. So anyway, just EWG hooked the set, and you can see what's hanging in my hand there. So I have this set up kind of like a drop shot, so to say. I guess, well, not really a drop shot, because I don't know what I guess you would call this kind of like a Tokyo style, I guess. We'll go with that one, where I'm using that weight to keep the fish on the bottom. You have your little leader line, but I ringed it. All right, now I have a ring on there. Well, let me see if I can get this in. So everybody knows what a ring is. You got them on all your crankbaits and your jerk baits, where your hooks hang off of. Some have them on the nose. I got them on the top of these swim baits. I also have a ring. I don't know why I keep going that way with the phone, but got rings on them. Just to let it free do its thing in the water. I don't think I want to be too solid with it, so we're doing the ring. Plus, when I'm pulling on this, I didn't want to pull, figured the ring can float, and I have this hook really, the eye of the hook really tucked into this bait. And that leader line is actually behind that ring. You know, it's in the same eyelet, but it's behind it. I didn't want to have to tie off on the same spot, deep into the bait, etc. So that's why the ring is there also. But that's my idea of how I'm going to first fish it, and just kind of roll with that. Now you can, I don't have a big enough one with me. If you want to, you can, I guess it's kind of like a shaky head, but not really. I'm losing it here. You could kind of do it, I don't know what you want to call it, like just nose weighted for lack of a better term. I don't really know what that would fall into, but if you get a bigger weighted wacky style hook, all right, I'm gonna try to hold this. There we go. A hook of that nature. Get a bigger one. This is a small one. This is not meant for this, but it's just so you have reference of what to get. There's a little slit in the top of this bait, and that hook, I mean, there's the slit. It's going to be hard to show you on the phone here. So you could take that hook, get a bigger one. I'm not sure what size yet. I don't know if that 3/0's going to work. I don't know what size it's got to be. I'd have to go to the store and kind of pick around. I'm pretty sure this is like a Berkeley Fusion style wacky hook. And take that sucker, and you could go right in like the forehead of that fish, or this bait, and wrap it around, and that hook will come up, and it's going to pop out of that little slit. But it's also going to be weedless. So this little weight, of course, on a bigger hook, it's going to be further back. But that weight's going to be up here. So now you could swim that fish, but if you want to stop it, if you kill that action, kill that movement, it's going to dive down. So now you got that nose diving down. There's that option. There's also the option I thought of, and I got to find my other ones. This is an extended worm hook. This is not going to work for this, obviously. So if I could find my smaller ones, they're somewhere on my bench. If you looked at my bench right now, disaster. So same idea, same principle like we do this, where we're side rigging this. I want to do that with a weighted worm hook, where I'm going to basically nose weight it just like that. And then that hook's going to do the same thing through the side. It's EWG style. And that will give you that same nose down action without having to go out the top of it, if you want to do it of a Texas rig style. The only way to really Texas rig this is sideways. I mean, it's got bulk vertically. You have to do it horizontally. There's really no other way. There's lines on the side of this bait. Kind of gives you a lineup idea of where your hook should be. So I put the hook in the center of the fish. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it there or not. We're going to see how it swims. There's a line on the bottom of this bait, kind of on an angle, where you can lower the weight. Basically take your hook and lower the weight of that hook in case your hook has too much weight. If you're a heavier wire hook or you're using a bigger hook, if it wants to tip that fish any, when you're trying to swim it through and it's on an angle instead of that fish being straight up. It's pickiness of how it swims. It does make a difference at times, don't get me wrong. Depends what the fish wants, how finicky they are. Where it's like, all right, some days they might not care, and they turn them in there to be like, oh, just eat it. Who cares if it's sideways? It's dying. Okay, cool, meal. Some fish will get picky and be like, oh, that ain't right. When it's leaning a little bit sideways, that ain't right. I'm not eating that. I'm not taking that bait. I'm not falling for it. So we have those days of fish. We all know that. So that's about it on the Texas rig side of things, other than a wacky hook at the top. Now, I was looking into throwing this on a drop shot and basically nose hooking it on a drop shot. This bait is very soft. It has, I mean, it's got awesome. I don't know how durable it's going to be yet, but I'm going to try it this weekend. If conditions present itself right, I'm going to throw it, and we'll get into why. And I don't know how, like I said, durable. It is soft. I mean, it's got elasticity to it, but it's a soft bait. I fear if you nose hook this bait, you're going to be going through a lot of them, and they're not cheap. Let me tell you, I think the suckers are like $10 a pack, and you only get 3 of these things as in 110. The 90s you get 4, 110 and 130 you get 3. So for nose, if I can find my stuff, there it is. For nose hooking it, give it more rigidity, and this goes for any soft plastic, but just focusing on this little guy, the Gilly. Get yourself like a little spring lock, which is, everybody knows what a spring lock is? Yeah, we've had them before. Let's get that focus on there. But these are gammas, but get a spring lock. Take that spring lock. It's just giving you more body, more grip. So take that spring lock, and I don't have one right now. I'm going to have to hook it myself. I keep playing with the one with the hook in it. So take that spring lock. I don't have one out. Run it right in that, right in that mouth. Where you'll see that line on the side of this bait. I don't know if you can get it in. Yeah, there you go. So you see those 2 lines. So whatever line you're using, put that spring lock. Well, I'm sorry. Follow the line. We're not using the line. Follow that line. All right, so it's going to go right to the mouth of the fish. And that's where you're going to want to pull from no matter what. That's where it's natural, right? So nose hooking it, put that spring lock down in there and bury it. Bury it into the front of this bait. You got to get it in there deep, so that way you can take your, if I can find it, you can take your drop shot hook, whatever one you want to use. I think this is like a 2 or a 2-aught. I don't know. Whatever I had laying around, I grabbed it and came to the barn. So if that spring lock is back there in the mouth, say like that far back, you're going to take your drop shot hook, nose hooking it, going through the eyelet of that spring lock. They make other ones that might have a little more grip to them. I mean, these have worked fine for me. I've never had an issue. They're not as tough as other ones out there, and I'm trying to think of the brand. It's on the tip of my tongue that makes a really rugged one. But that's going to give you more body and more meat back there, where you're not just hanging onto this plastic. You're going to be able to reuse this thing a bunch of times and not be burning through packs of $10 packs of these things constantly. So bury that spring lock in there. Take that hook, nose hook that thing right through the eyelid of that spring lock, and you're gonna have better chances of reusing this bait over and over and over again before you have to replace it, like most soft plastics. So, but that's my idea for that little critter. Gonna try them out along with my other ones. I like this one better for this time of the year, but standard treble hook on it. This one's already in my hand. There we go. That one there, I put a little spinner treble on it. Just give it a little more life, a little more something. I don't know how this one's going to do. Just the colors, it's more shaddy. This one, again, treble. I hate treble hooks. That's why I don't like using treble hooks. They grab everything. This one's got more of like a, I don't know, to me it's more of a bluegill. I don't know if that's what they call it or not. I don't recall in the package. But I have a feeling, I could be wrong. Every time I say I have a feeling on something, I'm wrong. But it seems like we're getting in that time period, and it's not just because we're in the month of May. We're getting in that time period where I want something bluegill. Reason why is I'm seeing in Smallwood, I walked over to a little bridge they have going from the marina to the campground, and I'm looking down, and there's a couple guys looking there, and I'm watching this male bass, largemouth, just chilling on a bed. Sitting there on the bed, and that was, looking at bugs flying around. Typical barn life. I'm looking at a bass just bedded down. Not moving, not coming off at all. I mean, he was locked onto that bed, which is telling me, okay, we're in that bedding. And I haven't seen that when we were fishing. The water, we haven't gotten to those things. My boaters haven't gone back there enough to where we didn't try to bed fish at all. So I'm trying to get out there and see, okay, can I find a fish on a bed? And know what they're doing right now, because this has been a wonky beginning of the season, for lack of a better term, or saying it lightly, it's been wonky. Our season's been all over the place. Warm, you think they're going to start bedding and they're going to go to bed, and the spawn's going to hit, and then the cold came in, and it seems like it put everything on hold, and they all went back out, and then it came back in. So it was like a back and forth game. So I think they're on bed. Now, of course, they're on beds. They're going to spawn at different times. They don't all, it's not like all the bass be like, boom, today's the day. Bam, there it is. It all happens. No, it's going to take a 2 or 3 stages, whatever it could be. I don't know how many exactly, but it's in a stage thing. So some are earlier, some are in the middle, some are later. Well, it's about that time, I think, at least I'm going to test the waters, and down south it's happening. Up here, I might be a little too early, so I might toss this around by the end of the week and not do it, but I may start testing the waters on your brim bed fishing, more or less, looking for brim beds. You got fish that are spawning right now. The big females are coming out now. If the males are hanging back and they're chilling at the crib, quote unquote, all right, they're hanging back on the bed. All right, the females are done doing their thing. They're moving out looking for something to eat. They've recouped. They're looking for food. What are they going to feed on? What comes after the bass spawn all the time? Your brim, your panfish, your bluegill. Your bluegill spawn starts to happen. So your bluegill beds are going to be a prime place for that big female to get an easy snack. You know they're there. So it's going to be that time where it's like, okay, bluegill is going to be hitting. Now, maybe they've been hitting them this past week, and I should have thrown one of these things. I don't know. But I'm going to try it this week and see what happens. What do I got to lose? And just do it for a little while and see what happens. If I'm in the right environment, the right area, and just whip it out there. I mean, we could be on the flats. The females might be moving to the flats. Temperatures are rising. Temperatures are looking good. I like this time. It's not too warm, not too cold. It's just that middle area. Activity is starting to pick up a little bit where I might be able to swim that thing through some grass, and there could be a female just hanging in there or pass it through, sees that thing, and just wallops it. You never know. I could take that thing and drop it to the bottom. Say, I'm looking for that deep, big fish down below. Drop that thing down there as deep as you can go. So if you got 10 foot, 15 foot of water, you hit a spot 20 foot of water, like some area on the Potomac. I mean, we were fishing 24 foot of water. Drop that thing, let it go down, and see if there's some fatty is down there waiting, and it's like, all of a sudden, this thing comes out of nowhere. Well, what's this bluegill doing down here? Whack! Now, yeah, you're going to have to bring her up, but you can get a monster doing it. So, if conditions are right, I can't say that I'm gonna. As a co-angler, I got to go where the boater goes. Whatever his plan is for the day, he goes. Now, the AFT series, I can kind of, half the water is mine, half the water is the boater's. Where if I have spots to go, 50% of the time is supposed to be on me. Since I fish actual co-angler, legit rule events, I don't do that with the guys in the AFTA series where, I could fish from the front of the boat if I want to. Like, that's how the rules work. I don't. I stay to the back because that's where I'm at with every other event. This is the only ones where I could go back and forth, but I don't. I just stay there. Like, that's just how I do it. The boater, we're just going to go for the ride. That way, it's like I'm not messing myself up too much with everything. Even though the AFT series is like an MLF event series where we have a 5 bass limit. Your open series in the ABA, the American Bass Anglers, it's only a 3 bass limit for the co-angler, but 5 for the boater. So it's all a little bit over the place. So I don't need any more confusion. So anyway, that's about it on the bluegill baits. Again, that's the Berkeley Gilly. We're gonna give it a shot. I mean, I got them. We're gonna use them. So that's my ideas on it. Like I said, nose hooking it. I was trying like heck to figure out how to put that thing, and there's no way to do it with the size of that bait. And with the rigging, and put it on like a Tokyo rig. I'm getting into starting to play around with the Tokyo rig a little bit. Like, yeah, and if anybody's never seen a Tokyo rig, hopefully you have. It's basically you gotta swivel onto a welded ring, and if you have a good one, it's welded. We'll put it that way. Your VMC is a good one. Most brands are. This one's actually one of the Bass Pro Shop ones. They call it a bonsai rig because it's already weighted. And this is kind of the one I'm going to set up. I have it set up in the house. I don't have it on this one. But this here, they put a double weight on it. So the total weight on this is 1/2 ounce. And the reason I picked these up is because I'm going to put a creature on this. And if anybody knows where I'm going with this is going to be for your pitch and flip and your heavy cover. So if it's mats, lily pads, like the Potomac, I got a reaction strike on that one fish, throwing a spinner bait, because I know spinner bait's pretty weedless, in the middle of pads. I'm not sure if they were pads or spatter dock, one of the two. But anyway, throwing it in the middle of this, all of it, stems, leaves, everything. I'm throwing a spinner bait out there, and it hit the water. As soon as it hit, boom, he was on it. Only fish of the day. Well, that's all well and good, but it's not a Texas rig. I'm still ripping leaves. I didn't catch any stems, or well, one time I did. But it's just your chances of getting that thing snagged, you could. So I'm trying to be as snagless as possible, as smooth as possible through those pads. So I'm thinking I'm going to try this bonsai out, because with the 2 weights on it, I like, because you have, of course, they got a bead in the middle, so you have the action in your bait if you're swimming it. You have 2 bullet style weights, so I can punch and I can pull back through cover. It's got that taper on there, so it's a little bit cleaner. I just got to make sure I clean up a little bit around here and have no snags on it. But yeah, it's a little bit on the longer side, but that's okay. Not worried about that at all. Can you punch with other stuff? Absolutely. We've done it for a long time. You can drop shot punch. You could set up, I mean, if you really want to take this little gilly and punch it, just put a bigger weight on there, send that sucker down. But what I wanted to avoid was the string part of it, okay? This thing here, it does what it wants. If I want this to sit on the bottom or punching through, it'll punch through, it'll pull. But when it goes to the bottom, if this thing here is heavier, it's going to compress unless I'm swimming it. So with this little critter, it's on a solid wire. I like that because it's a more direct connection for everything. For whether it's dropping, punching through, it's going. You ain't got no slack in it whatsoever. It ain't taking a turn, it's punching through. There's no ways about it. Hopefully the 1/2 inch is okay. For right now, I think it will be. It's earlier. Later in the season, I'm probably going to step that up to probably at least 3/4. Depending on how thick of stuff we get. Some of our mats get thick, but the 1/2 inch I think will punch through, depending on what I put on the other side of it. But we're going to play around with that. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it this weekend or not. I probably should set up a Tokyo rig and drag that bottom. I may. We might. But anyhow, that's another one that we're going to attempt to go. And again, with these 2 weights on there, I like it because if you are banging this thing around, you hear it. I hope it comes through. You can hear it. That thing's making a little bit of racket. So you get your sight, because this thing here is free-floating hook. I'm not attached to the hook. So when I'm dragging this on the bottom, this thing's banging around, making noise, and it's also it's jumping this around a little bit where I don't have to talk to it with the line. I mean, I can just drag and go with it. To where this thing is doing its own thing up here. It's got all the action in the world. So if you got those like better temperatures coming up, more active fish, it's just my mind talking here. I want that action. That action is going to be like, all right, a little bit of something. If their fish are more active, they got more energy to go do it. And I'm not saying a post-spawn fish, that would be good for all that action. So pick your trailer or your swim bait, whatever you're putting on there properly, so you're not giving it too much. You know, don't put like a real soft Kitech on there that's going to have a lot of sway. Find something that's a little bit stiffer or calmer. A lot of times I'll resort to like a fluke tail style where you got a little tail twitch on there, but not that big swimmy motion where I got to kind of pull it through the water a little harder. Or like the Kitech, you can go a little slower, but there's too much motion where that post-spawn bass could be sitting there and being like, nah, too much work. I'm just going to wait for something kind of dying, where that bluegill, dropping that sucker in there, if I'm not swimming it on a Texas rig, all right, I got to test this thing in the tank here. I got to put some line on it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that on the video, but we could try. But basically, I want to see if this thing's going to float any, if this is a sinker or a floater. And then it'll give you more of an idea, hence the test tank. It'll give you an idea of what more you can do with that bait and different ways to rig it. That's why I test a lot in the tank. But anyhow, let's get off of that topic. My boater this past weekend, he introduced me to man's baits. I never really looked at them. I heard about them, but I never really looked into them. He was throwing a 1- or a -1, however they say it, this weekend, and he was hooking up really well. Like they were going after it. It is like a foot depth roughly crankbait. Now he actually gave me this one, but I don't know if he didn't like the color or what. I don't care. I'll try it. But you see that bill? That bill is like straight up and down. So it's like it's the next step from, like, I guess it's an in between from a square bill to a lipless. Now you got that little guy, and I did not really know much about it. I mean, yeah, you got a shad wrap, a shallow shad wrap from Rapala, but that's still going to be in that, depending on how you fish it, that 1.5 to 3 foot area. This little guy here apparently stays shallow. I don't know yet. I haven't thrown it. He just gave me the thing, but I'm going to give it a try. I mean, he was hooking up. Him and another guy was throwing it, and they were hooking up left and right. So we're going to give it a little while. Oh, going back to the bluegill thing, before I forget. If you are swimming this bait, say you put it on a weightless hook, kind of like this setup here, except not in the drop shot style, where you just got that side hook in there. If you need some extra weight in the front to keep it either down or get it to dive a little bit deeper, whatever you need, in the chin area, there is meat in the bottom. It's a little bit hollow up top, but the face is solid, but it's hollow up top where that slit is up here. The base of this fish is solid meat. Nail weight it. Take a nail weight, whatever size you decide that you need in there. I got a little one floating around here somewhere. Take a nail weight and stick it into the bottom of that fish, and then, I mean, you can put it all the way down here if you really want to. So figure it's kind of like a keel on a sailboat. So if this thing is going wonky on you and not wanting to stay upright, depending on what size hook you have in it, stick a weight in the bottom. Now it's like a sailboat keel. It'll keep that bottom, lower center of gravity, coming through that water. It'll dive a little bit more, but it'll keep that bait a little more stable. Don't quote me on that, but it makes sense. I haven't thrown it yet, but that's my idea. Like, if I need that bottom ballast, I'm just going to nail weight that bottom end. Just stick it in there and get that weight as low as I can in that fish to get him to hunker down. So, all right, moving on from that. Of course, I think it's about that time. Don't mind the other bait in my hand. For morning, if I can hold this thing, for the mornings. Darker color, I'm going to try that. I just picked this one up. I didn't have one with a black blade. Not like the blade matters that much, but I wanted the black skirting on it so I could put a darker trailer on there and pull that. I think it's about that time. I haven't done a lot of top water. I did a little bit with a buzz bait, and I just kind of turned off. I didn't feel that it was that time yet. I just did not feel like it was time. So this weekend, I think we're going to throw it around up here at the Upper Chesapeake and see if it changes. Either a buzz bait or possibly a whopper plopper. I got a real big one on one of my rods right now that I might just throw. I'm not sure. But let's get into some weird stuff. There's things out there. People have talked about them. I've seen, like, there's kits online on Amazon you can buy. You don't need a friggin' kit. All right. You're just making some yo-yo rich that's like, oh, I'll get some idiot to buy this. And people probably do. But just to create something different, you ever see a skirted Senko? I mean, I'm sure people have done it. This is what I do. All right, I just put the stupid stuff together, throwing it. It's literally like a skirt. I mean, I still have the head there, and this is a weighted wacky hook, just like the one I showed you with the bluegill fish. It's a weighted wacky, except it's just through the bait. It's a yum dinger. That's all this thing is. So I took a wacky O-ring, and it is a pain in the butt, but it's possible to do, and just put the skirt through it and put it up on the worm. And I went that height right at the bottom of the hook just to try it. I mean, just to see if it's something different, if they'll actually hit this thing. The skirt color is purple chartreuse. The worm's like this greenish, I don't know what the hell you want to call it. It's what I had laying around that was in front of me. I have other skirts, but it didn't mix with a lot of the worms and stuff. I don't think it had that punch that's needed for the stained water that we're in. So I'm like, well, I got that. We'll throw it on there and just go with it. I got some Z-Man I got some white and chartreuse. I should have probably put that on there, but I don't know. These, the Booyah, however you say, I never knew how to say that crap. That's one of theirs. I had it laying around since we had the shop, and I'm like, you know what? We're going to use them. So threw it on there. So the next one I do, I might do it up at the neck and just leave that tail a little bit longer, or cut the dinger down and make it a little bit shorter. I don't know. I'm just messing around with it, but we're going to see what it does. So make sure that you tune in following videos, possibly the one after this weekend, which is going to be a 2-dayer. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go. If I have two good events, we did have a 2-dayer once before, like one event after another, and we got canceled, so I never got to experience that on the video thing. Now it looks like we're going to have a good weekend, so we're going to have 2 events back to back. So it could be a lot of yapping, more than I usually do. I mean, I'm at 40 minutes right now. I'm trying to keep them hour below. We push it sometimes. But yeah, we're going to have a lot to talk about. So I don't know if I'm going to cover baits in that video. It might be an extra video that week if I have time. Grass is still growing like crazy out there. So, and of course we got to talk about finesse. This could be a little finesse tactic. We'll see what it does. Swim it, finesse it, do a little pop, let that skirt puff a little bit. You know, it may get a bite. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to go to the finesse style thing. So I'm farting around in Bass Pro or Cabela's up the road here. I say up the road, it's a half hour, whatever way. So I took a run up there this weekend. I wanted a new spinning rod. I went there for a spinning rod and a inflatable PFD, and come out of there a bunch of money later. Yeah, tapped into the boat funds a little bit. We'll just say that. So. Of course, I bought a bunch of baits, everything else. Like, I go down to bait aisles, and it's like, ooh, it's like a kid in a candy store. We're all there. So, anyhow, I'm going through it. I never tried their stuff before. And, of course, Ott Defoe, he is sponsored by Bass Pro. He's Bass Pro sponsored. So, he fishes all their stuff, the Johnny Morris rods, the tournament series baits that they have. So, I'm like, you know what? Let me try these things out. And he talks about, for wacky rigging, he doesn't just use all the time just a regular stick bait that we're so accustomed to using in a wacky configuration. You know, and then some of us have think outside the box. So I've thrown some goofy stuff on a wacky rig before just to see, and I always resort back to the stick and be like, all right, the stick's got to catch him, And I struggle with it. So we're going to dive off a little bit, and I started my mind wrapping around this stuff last night. And Ott throws my other colored one, but of course, I'm going to throw white. Now, this is a floating worm, so I may have to weight it a little bit. I got some small nail weights I can put in if I need to. But we'll see how it drops. Test tank. But anyhow, hook that thing in the middle and just let it go. It's a very lightweight worm, so I don't know how this is going to go. But I did want white for the Potomac. The only time I've been really getting any kind of bites or any kind of feeling out of the water, and even my boater this weekend was getting good hits on white, and it worked for me before down there, and I kind of went away from it like a dummy. So we're going to go back to it. So I'm going to try this little guy out, whether I swim it, wacky it, whatever I do with it. We're going to fart around with it here. Again, I'm not going to get to this in this video. I don't want to make it that long, so we'll play with it another day. But the one that I really want to wacky, which I'm going to throw, definitely going to throw Mr. Pinky here. Mr. Pinky's going to get thrown here at the Upper Chesapeake, because this Upper Chesapeake's been whooping my butt. It's been hard. I don't know why I can't get a handle on it. The Potomac River is me. I'm doing something wrong down there because I had no problem before, and it just declined. And there's something I'm missing. It's me. Up here in the Chesapeake, it's probably me because other guys are catching it, but I just haven't got a grasp on it yet. I'm not even close to a handle. The Potomac, I got a little bit of a handle on. A little bit. Up here has been a struggle, and this is home water, but I don't get out there on a boat. That's why I'm co-angling until I get one. I'm always bank fishing, totally different. People will be like, oh, bank fishing, boat fishing is the same. It is not the same, especially when you don't have control of that boat. You know, you're just going for the ride. But anyhow, get into this one. I really wanted to talk about this tonight, and we're going to end with this one here. I'm yapping a lot. I got to get something to drink. Refreshing. So, this worm here, it's their, what they call their finesse finicky or something. I guess that's what it's supposed to be. I wanted a crazy color. I was going to go white in these, and I'm like, I don't know if they didn't have them or something, but I saw the pink, and I'm like, you know what? Nobody throws pink a lot, or at least I don't see it. But pink, they bite pink. They're known for biting pink. Your morning dawns, I think it is. It's the color I'm looking for. I got to order it. Nobody has it out here, or at least I didn't find it. Very good color. I mean, it's that pinkish purple. It drives. They go to it. But I'm gonna wacky this one, and the reason I'm really wanting to wacky this one and talk about this one is this worm is not just a round worm. It's not a stick bait. I mean, it's got a tapered little tail on it, as you can see. The thing I like about it, you see that bottom? It's got a flat bottom on it. I like flat bottom. My French fries flat bottom. Other worms that I have are I have a bunch that are flat bottom. I like a flat bottom because a flat bottom is just like a John boat. It's a flat bottom boat. You know how rough they ride because they just sit on. They don't cut. They sit on the water. They glide. Okay, they don't cut through waves and wake. They glide. Same thing with a flat bottom worm. They glide. So you have to be very precise or cautious when you wacky rig this. But when you put that wacky hook through that bait, right through the center of it, you want to go, however your hook is configured, you want to make sure that when it's hanging on the bottom of that hook, I'm just grabbing a hook for reference. I'm not poking this one just yet, but when it sits, you want that, and I'm going to lose it, you want that flat bottom to sit there on that hook. Wherever that hook is hanging, wherever that weight's going to hang vertically, you want that flat bottom. And the reason I'm doing it, and I don't know if it's going to work yet or not, this is still theory for me. I want that flat bottom to sit that way. That way, if that worm is light and that water catches the bottom of it, all right, it'll glide a little bit. It may take it somewhere. I don't know if it's going to do it yet or not, but it may take it this way, take it that way. It'll give it a little action. I don't have to disturb it. It's doing its own thing. You know, and it's still dropping with a little quiver to it, but it's gliding as it quivers. It's just a little more action. Could be good, could be bad. But then of course, if you pick it up off the bottom, you let it hit the bottom. Nothing hits it. All right, give it a little tap. You pull it up. You know how the wacky works. Boom. It has that little boom, comes up, and then it's going to sit there. It's going to quiver down a little bit and maybe glide. If you're lucky enough, I'm hoping, because you're not weighted in either end, depending on which way the current's going, fish, whatever, maybe there is no current. If this does have that glide effect, if it does take that chance and it glides, say the fish is here, and you pick it up, boom, rig or wacky going to sit here, keeps moving away from the fish. Fish going to be like, screw that thing, I ain't chasing it. You know, possibility. Other possibility, if I pick it just enough, just straight up, and not pull it on an angle away from that fish. Fish is sitting here, I can pull it up, that thing might glide back to the fish. Now, if you tail weight something, a lot of times it'll do that, but I don't want to do that to this worm just yet. So we're going to see what happens. But I like that flat bottom. It's just rigged properly, it will glide. It's not just the water is going to come around it. That water is going to have some form of a base or like a tension point. You're increasing that water tension on the bottom of this bait by having a flat design to where it could carry it one way or the other. So I don't know, it's kind of food for thought if somebody out there wants to try it out, or like I said, I'm going to try it in the tank. I just got to throw some stuff together. I don't want to run, we're at about 50 minutes, so I don't want to run any longer. But just things we're going to try this weekend here at the Upper Chesapeake and down at the Potomac. Like I said, I'm throwing things at a 180. We're just going to rip it around where, you know, your swim bait, we're going to try out a couple different things on the swim bait. On the gilly, I got my other swim baits that I'll throw and just see what they do with the treble hook. The crazy skirted worm, I don't know. It's a shot in the dark. Let me put it that way. It's probably going to be one of them things I'm not going to throw first, but if I get close to a limit, or if I get a limit, or if I don't get a limit and things are just getting tough yet again in my life here with fishing off the back of the boat, I may just wing it out there and see what happens. Thinking about making one up on the white worm. I don't know yet, but I mean, that one, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to skirt it or just leave it alone yet. I haven't figured it out yet. It's very light. Like, they call it a floating worm for a reason. I'm pretty sure if I throw it, well, here. It's floating. So, there you have it. It is floating on top of the water. That worm is not sinking. So, as a wacky, you're going to have to weight that thing somehow. Either with the hook, like, I mean, I could take this little thing here, this little fusion, hook that sucker right on there and send it. Simple as that. And just leave the worm weightless, but let this force it down. I'm going to play with that here in the tank because I want to see how fast it actually drops. It should drop it, but that worm float pretty good. But of course, the pink one will sink. It'll just take a little while, but it'll sink. So we're going to try it out, see what it does. Just different things. Something's got to give. Most likely my technique. And we didn't get into that, but we did a little bit where, again, I got to slow down. On the back of the boat, you just got to slow down. I mean, we want to go, go, go. And when that boater's got that trolling motor running and you're running with him and it's go, go, I mean, you got go, go on your mind. Well, even if he's going, you got to find a way to slow it down. My one buddy of mine here on Facebook, he was saying, he did a video, And his video actually helped sink this into my mind, where his boater was go, go, go too. Where there wasn't much sitting, there wasn't much finesse or whatever. His boater wanted to roll. So being that he was trying to finesse, he read the waters and been like, man, I'm just throwing the wacky. He got good at the wacky, something I got to work on. And he plumb worked on it. Well, he got better with it to where now he's got more confidence in that bait, and that's key. The confidence in your bait means the world out there on the water. I mean, it means the world. So he's got the confidence in that wacky. He threw that thing, and he was having trouble because the boater was on the move. Well, the wacky, you got to let it sit. It's designed to just take patience. I hate patience, but you got to have patience for the wacky. It's going to drop. It takes some time. Weightless wacky. It's going to take time depending on the depth of that water. And once it hits the bottom, leave it sit. Nothing picks at it, twitch it a little bit maybe. Get it, move it, or just pull it back out, throw it again, whatever your style is. But you got to sit. It's a patience thing. It's not a go, go, go. So he was saying well, my boater wanted to go and I couldn't do that and this and that. And when he said that, that dawned on me. And I'm like, you know what? When I was trying to throw the wacky, it's like either I was he was always pointing the boat, of course, to benefit him with the current. So, and that's nature of it. And I'm like, all right, well, the current's not benefiting me at all. And we had some current pull through there. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like was it Potomac the week before? Yeah, the Potomac the week before had some current. I mean, it was moving. Anything you threw in there was like, shoo, it was just gone. So it wasn't that bad this time around. So it's like, all right, cool. But it wasn't enough for that weightless worm to sink. It was carrying it. No matter what I did, it's carrying it. So I'm trying to find a spot to put it without throwing it to the front of the boat to where this thing's going to settle down without coming back at me like all the time. And it bugs me. Maybe it's okay to do that, but it bugs me. So my buddy was saying it's like he had to find a spot to throw that he can, and he really broke it down while he was on the back of the boat. He broke it down and evaluated and assessed his position. And that's something that I noticed that's like, you know what? I don't spend a lot of time doing that. I do in the beginning. And then after that, it's throw, throw, throw. Like there's no more, boop, wait, assess this situation. We moved. Assess it. And he assessed it to where he turned and he's like, all right, you know what? He's on the move. I need to figure out where I can throw that'll give that bait the most time to settle down. And he caught a limit. He did really well. I think he ended up like 5th or 6th place. I want to say 6th. And he was sitting on the top, and then the weights just kept going up a little bit. But he was up there. He put 3 in the boat, and he caught more than 3. That was the biggest 3. So you're keeping him, of course. But anyhow, he did really well doing that. And I'm like, and I realized that in his video, it struck in my head. I'm just like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not taking the time to assess the situation in fear of wasting time. And in doing what I'm doing, trying not to waste time, I am wasting time. Wasted a lot of time because I'm spinning wheels. I'm spinning my own wheels. Because I didn't assess the situation to be like, what is my best benefit? So even if I took 3 minutes of assessing my situation on the back of the boat, gathering all that knowledge, compressing it, and figuring it out, what I got to do in the situation I'm on for 3 minutes will benefit me more than wasting 3 minutes chucking and doing stupid stuff. So, yeah, so that video, it was an eye-opener. It really was. And like I said, he broke it down to the point where it's like, And then it started clicking in my head, and I'm like, I'm not slowing down. I'm trying to keep up with the boat with a finesse tactic. No wonder I ain't catching nothing on a finesse tactic that I suck at. So, yeah, that's where we're at with that. So this weekend, we're going to try it again. Keeping that knowledge, thank you. We'll put you out there. Thank you, Jeff, for that knowledge. Hopefully it works out. You'll know. Believe me, you'll know. But if it works out this weekend, and like I said, we're going to be at the Upper Chesapeake and Potomac. Same tidal waters, quote unquote. Just one's more south, one's a little more north. But basically the same area, or like the same features of the water, except throwing stuff is different. Potomac likes one thing, Chesapeake likes the other. I haven't seen, and I'm still new at this, I haven't seen what works on one works on the other yet, and I've tried it already, and it's not working. Like, I guess you could say to each their own. So that's the way it's going to be. But again, like I said, Pinky is definitely on my hot list. Don't let me down, Pinky. Don't let me down. I'm hot on this thing. I don't know why. I want to throw this damn thing like you can't believe. And I kind of wanted to go fishing tonight. I was going to throw it. Last night I was going to go, and then I turned into a mess. Forgot things, this and that. I went somewhat down the road, maybe halfway there, and I turned around and I came back. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not fishing without all my stuff. I got a system. I need it. So we came back. I was going to go tonight, but then the wife decided she wanted to work a little bit longer at home on her computer. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to wait and roll out of here this late and only have like maybe 45 minutes to an hour of fishing, which is better than nothing. But by the time you get there, unload, finally throw a line, you're turning around, it's dark out in the park that we're going to go at, the lake that we want to hit, the local lake that we call it. You know, at dusk, basically, you got to be out of there. I mean, I stretch it a little bit, but you don't want to push too much. So keep good graces, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's about it for tonight. Not going to bore anybody any longer. We're at 55 minutes. Trying to keep things in the norm, but again, you know, hey, hopefully something down here, hopefully something here helped you. I don't have a lot of feedback on the rivers or whatever, and I want to get that to you guys at some time. And you know, for things that work and things that I've tried that didn't work, we got a lot of that going on. So what you see, what I've done before, well, I wouldn't say don't do it. Do it a different way. That's all. But yeah, slow down. Slow down. That's something I don't have, if you haven't noticed. I'm a little all over the place. So slowing down is something I got to learn. I don't know what I got to do to fix this, except concentrate really, really hard, take a mental beating, and just slow it down. So we'll see what happens. Anchor Marina come this Saturday. We'll be out there with the Pennsylvania division, even though it's in Maryland. They use that water. Yeah, I know it sounds weird. But the PA division of the AFT Series, American Bass Anglers, we're going to be on the Upper Chesapeake Bay this Saturday. And the same series, or the same organization, American Bass Anglers, AFT Series, Maryland division, we're going to be on a Potomac River on Sunday. So back to back. I don't know. I think it'll be fun. I never got to do a back to back yet, so I kind of like that. You know, the travel part I don't like too much. Going down the Smallwood's a pain in the butt. Bay Bridge. On Sunday it might not be bad. Bay Bridge and then Waldorf. I hate going through Waldorf. Anybody who knows Waldorf and has to drive through it like midday. No offense to anybody out there in Waldorf if you live there. I'm not saying it's you. The people on the road, like, it feels like you're in like Philly or something. Like, they drive like beep, okay? Or beep beep is, if anybody caught that. I go out of my mind driving there. We actually found a way around it that was kind of better, but it was Mother's Day weekend, so who knows? I probably ate it and things. But usually going to Waldorf is like a nightmare. I don't get it. I don't know what is wrong with that area. I know it's population, but people, get your stuff together. You know. So anyway, again, for like the 19th time, we're gonna end it here. Thanks for tuning in. Again, hopefully something helped you out. If something did, cool. If something didn't, we'll fix it. We'll get there. We'll help you out. Just my experiences on the water, baits that we're going to try, experiences with baits. We're going to get down a little nitty gritty of it more and more as these videos go on. It's just a lot to put in one, so we're going to try to separate the bait thing and get a little more. If you go on my actual Facebook page, Tony Kosar on Facebook, the last week's video, I didn't do on YouTube. I wanted to, but I'm trying to get the subscribers up, and this is why it's so important to me. If you guys are out there, would subscribe to the page. I don't care if you watch it or not. Help me out and subscribe to the page, and then you can do whatever you want after that. I'm working on trying to get to 50 subscribers. If I can hit 50, I want to do these videos live. I rather would. Not all the time, but some of the time, to interact with people, see the comments come up on the screen and be like, all right, this guy, like, and just feed off of it and just do a live video. I mean, it may not even be a video like this where I'm going to coverage of that and the baits, whatever. It could just be a live video, be like, hey, you know, we're going to mess around with some baits, pre-tell some people like on Facebook or do like a short vid or whatever. Hey, you know, or I don't know how to get it out there really. We'll have to figure that out. But, you know, just do a vid where it's like, all right, you know, we're going live, you know, somehow or whatever. And like I said, I don't know how to get that advertisement out there. But just do a live video and see who comes in. You know, if you subscribe to it, you'll get the notification and hopefully be able to interact on a one-to-one personal basis as long as service acts right around here. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And getting to that point. But yeah, that's why we're really pushing on trying to get to that 50 subscribers, and it hasn't moved much lately. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I didn't have a video last week or what. I don't know. I mean, it's still a new page. I get it, but you know, I'm trying to get there to hit that live, so I don't have to do on Facebook Live, which I did it on Facebook because it's the only way I could do live, just to interact with a couple folks and see who's out there. So, anyhow, T Kosar Fishing on YouTube, Tony Kosar on Facebook. Instagram is T Kosar Fishing. Instagram, I'm still learning. I don't use it a lot, so it sounds stupid because everybody's like, "Oh, it's so easy." I know, but I don't use it. All right, so I'm trying to start using it little by little, and I want to get my other equipment out to start videoing with my cameras and through my production software, because then I can record it. I can hard record it. I can record the video, not just on the phone like I'm doing right now still. I know I've said it before, I gotta get my stuff ready. There's a lot of things going on. It's not even summer yet and we're going nuts. You know, and that's my fault. I register for every tournament known to man in the area. Yeah, it's experience. You gotta do it to get the experience, all right? So, but anyway, that way I can hard record it and I can put it on anywhere I want. Except Instagram, I don't know how that works. I think I have to like record on, I don't know. It's weird, but we'll fart around with it for a little bit. If I don't like it, I'll get rid of it again. I did it once, I'll do it again. So anyhow, check us out on Facebook, check us out on Instagram. Nothing, my Facebook page is my own. It's just, it could be anything pops up, so be ready. All right, buckle up. It gets interesting at times. But mostly the YouTube page, T Kosar Fishing. Instagram is a work in progress. There's not a lot on it right now. I'm getting there. I just forget about it. So, sorry, we're going to do better. All right, so, but until next time, like, hey, we'll let you know how it goes, and maybe I don't have to. Run out there, grab one. There's a really cool bait. Check them out. And by no means am I sponsored or trying to push Berkeley or anything like that. I just think it's a really cool bait. It's just neat stuff to play with. So, anyway, thanks for tuning in. We're going to get back at building baits. We're going to get back at sinking baits over here, finding out what works, what doesn't work, and next video could have some more knowledge in it on what is going on with everything that we went through tonight. So, until next time, tight lines, people. See ya.